Hey you guys, welcome back. So I am very excited for today's cupcake creation because we are making our first Valentine's Day cupcake of the season. So I actually got inspired for this cupcake by a cocktail. So we are going to be making a nice boozy cupcake. So the cupcake we're creating today is a Love Potion Cupcake. Now there were two cocktails actually that came up kind of in this section, and I had my family vote. So it's either going to be more of like a citrusy, like cranberry, orange, grapefruit type cupcake, or it was going to be more of like a strawberries and cream kind of cupcake. My family voted, they chose the strawberries and cream, so that's what we're doing today. So we're going to do a couple of extra steps this time because we're not just doing a simple cupcake with frosting on top. Today we're going to be doing a filling as well. So we are going to be making a white chocolate cupcake. I don't know why my hands are like this. We're going to be making a white chocolate cupcake, and then we're going to be creating a Bailey's strawberries and cream mousse for the filling, and then topping it off with a vanilla Swiss meringue, and then adding some few nice touches for decoration. So we're actually going to start off with a mousse today because it needs to chill in the fridge. I was gonna say the freezer. It needs to chill in the refrigerator for a little bit, so that's what we're gonna start with today. So now we're going to very nicely and seamlessly transition into the kitchen. All right, so we're in the kitchen. We're about to get started on this mousse. So I'm actually taking this recipe from the Bailey's website. They actually have a ton of recipes on there that I eventually want to try. I did make their strawberries and cream buttercream last year because I made cupcakes for work, and that was a huge hit. So I'm expecting that this mousse will also be a really great addition to this cupcake. But the first step is going to be to blend up some strawberries. So we'll go ahead and do that really quick. Okay, so I'm actually gonna have this recipe because I want some strawberries left over to do some topping with. And this recipe calls for a full pound of strawberries. So I'm just gonna half it because I only have 1 pound of strawberries. And we're just gonna throw, these are like the largest strawberries I've ever seen. Do you guys see this strawberry?
How come the stars come to shine when it's dark from so far away and show us where we are?
Okay, now I'm just gonna add all the ingredients into the sauce pan. So the only challenging part about having this recipe is that it calls for 3 eggs. But how do you like half an egg to get the right amount? So I'm using a jumbo egg, and I'm hoping that that will be enough to compensate for the 1.5 eggs. And we're gonna add in our strawberries, big strawberry slush.
Why does the rain always keep on pouring down when it's gray outside? It really makes me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder.
So I got this cute mini bottle from the liquor store, which is perfect. It's the exact amount that we need if we were doing a full recipe. So I'm just gonna use about half the bottle. But this is great for baking. The little bottles are perfect, especially if you're not gonna drink the alcohol on your own afterwards, especially since you need such a little amount. So half of that is going in.
Shine like gold until.
And now I'm gonna stir that in, and then it's gonna go into the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Okay you guys, so our strawberry has been sitting in the fridge for about an hour now because I went and I got myself a hot chocolate. So now the next step is to actually whisk the egg to get stiff peaks. So this is just the other egg white from the egg yolk that we used earlier. And I have my hand mixer, and I just have this one whisk attachment. I don't know if I lost one along the way or if this is intentional, but we're just gonna roll with it because I can't be bothered to hand whisk it until it fluffs up. So next steps. Okay, so we have our eggs all whipped up. I was actually getting nervous there for a second that they weren't going to amount to anything, but thankfully they look, I think, how they're supposed to. So I'm just gonna add this into the strawberry mixture that's been in the fridge and fold that in together. All right, so that has been gently mixed together. So now I'm basically gonna do the same exact thing, but with heavy whipping cream and vanilla. Whisk it until it gets fluffy and then add that in. And then basically the mousse is done after that and we can move on to the cupcakes. All right, so our whipped cream has been created and it was a little bit messier than I expected it. So if you're doing this, maybe use a slightly larger bowl than I did. But I'm just going to add this into our strawberry mixture and lightly, delicately fold it in. This actually kind of reminds me, if you guys ever had strawberries and cream frappuccino from Starbucks, that used to be like my thing when I was younger, because I'm not a huge coffee person, and so I'd always go for the frappuccinos at Starbucks, and it was either a strawberries and cream frappuccino or it would be a chocolate chip frappuccino. And once this is done, I'm gonna move on to the cupcakes. So I'm just gonna put this in the refrigerator. It'll also help it to stiffen up just a little bit more, I hope, because it's a little bit more liquidy than I was hoping for. And maybe if I do some like whisking and mix it a little bit more, maybe it'll also stiffen up. We'll just wait and see once we get to that point. All right, this looks pretty well incorporated. So I'm gonna bring this back to the fridge and now we can start on our actual cupcakes. All right, you guys, so we are getting started on the cupcake batter now. So I'm gonna start by creaming the butter and the sugar together. I did soften the butter in the microwave for like 10 quick seconds because I didn't think it was quite soft enough. So hopefully it's just enough that's ready to go. Okay, you guys, so I'm back in the kitchen really quick so that I can melt the white chocolate. So I'm just using a white chocolate bar. I'm gonna use the whole thing. The recipe calls for 4 ounces and this is 4.4, so I'm just gonna do the whole thing. And I'm just gonna melt it in a bowl in the microwave. That's the easiest way I found to melt chocolate. You can also do it over the stovetop, over some boiling water, but this is just quick and easy for me. I like to melt my chocolate in like 10, maximum 15-second different increments because I have burned chocolate before when it smells disgusting too. It tastes disgusting and then it's all ruined and you have to restart from the beginning. So I'd rather not risk it. Slow and steady when it comes to melting chocolate. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. Okay, you guys, so I'm finally ready to start working on the Swiss meringue. So I've already wiped down my bowl and my whisk with white vinegar, and I've separated my eggs, and I'm really kind of skeptical that I got a yolk in here and that this whole thing is gonna fail, but we're gonna roll with it anyway. So there's 6 egg yolks in here. No, there's 6 egg whites in here, and then 2 cups of sugar that are added to it. I'm gonna whisk it together and then put it over the saucepan. And my big whisk is in the washing machine right now, as you can probably hear in the background. So I just have my baby whisk that we're gonna roll with, and we're just gonna do what we can and fingers crossed that this will work. So I just have a little bit of water at the very bottom of my pan, and this is all mixed together. So you actually use regular white sugar instead of powdered sugar in a Swiss meringue. And let's see, I've had 1 failed attempt at Swiss meringue and 1 successful attempt at Swiss meringue. So not the best odds in the world, but we need to find the instructions. And now we just wait while this mixture warms up and hopefully, fingers crossed, becomes very thin and frothy, I guess. All right, so our mixture should be good now. So I'm just gonna transfer it into my mixer and put on the whisk attachment. Wipe down my bowl first so it's not all wet on the bottom, and just be really careful because it will be hot. And then add my attachment and start whisking this on a fairly high speed. I like to start slow and then slowly build up to it, but so what you're looking for are stiff peaks, which were basically there, but I'm just gonna keep whisking for a little bit longer because it's not gonna hurt it. And then we'll add in the butter, the vanilla, and then we'll be good to go. We have, how much butter is this? 3 sticks of butter that are going in this. And I'm kind of worried that the bowl is still a little bit warm. So I'm just gonna start really, really slow, incorporating butter. Okay, you guys, so we are in our final stages here. The cupcakes are nice and cool. The mousse is done, and the Swiss meringue is also done. So now I'm just gonna go through my cupcakes really quick and core out the middle of them. I just use an apple core. You can also use a spoon, a knife, just something sharp to dig in. I don't want to go too deep. And then once all those are cored out, I'm going to then dish in some of this mousse in them inside. I was hoping that it would firm up a little bit more, and I was planning on just putting it in a piping bag and doing that. But it's not quite as firm as I hoped, so I'm just going to use a spoon, dish it in, and then top it off with our Swiss meringue buttercream. And then we'll have our beautiful cupcakes. So I was going through and editing this, and I felt like I needed to explain what the heck was going on here. So as soon as I started trying to frost my cupcakes, I realized that something weird was happening. So you can see me kind of going over to the edge because I thought that there was just like a clump of butter that hadn't gotten mixed in properly, and if I could just get that out, all would be fine. But I kept attempting to get like the glob of butter or whatever it was like getting stuck in there out, and I was just not having any luck at all with this. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just keep trying to frost with this and we'll just make it work how it is. But I knew if I kept going like this, I was gonna ruin my piping bag. So I ended up bringing the frosting back to my mixer and going through and trying to mix the butter in and reincorporate it. So here's where I've actually redone the frosting, and it's definitely going a bit better, but then before I know it, I get a clump of butter again, and that's when I have this really awkward blowout of the frosting here. And I was getting so frustrated at this point, I just kept going. But if this happens to you, I really should have just restarted the frosting. I think that I had messed it up with the butter not being quite right, but we just went with it. All right, you guys, so that concludes this cupcake adventure. I just had a cupcake off camera and it was delicious. I am just a bit disappointed in the frosting. It was a little bit grainy, which means I didn't leave it on the stovetop long enough, and for some reason the butter just wasn't incorporating properly. I'm still learning how to do the Swiss meringues. They are very, very finicky, so I think it's one of those things where I just have to keep at it until I get the hang of it. But flavor-wise, I think it was amazing. I would have just added in a bit more Bailey's because the strawberry flavor definitely came through. I think it was the perfect amount of strawberry. I just wasn't getting that much of that like Bailey's kick from it, which of course is just a personal preference. But when I make a Boozy cupcake, I want you to know that I'm making a Boozy cupcake. But otherwise, I think this is the perfect cupcake to make this Valentine's Day with your friends, your family. You know, if you're having a girls' night, even if you're by yourself, you know, make yourself some cupcakes. Enjoy yourself. If you make it, please leave a comment and let me know how it turns out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.